What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Scoundrels of the Forest. Happy to be with you on this lovely Monday afternoon for me, where it's like over 100 degrees outside. So I'm happy to be indoors talking to you and talking to some of my very good friends in the Action Army and fellow Star Wars authoritarians, shall we say. I mean, maybe not compared to like someone like an Alex Damon, but we know our stuff. We like talking about it. It's all good. So right away, that's in there with the important questions. That's a good question, man. It's good. We'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that. But before that, let me introduce my compatriots here. I got to say, first off, I'm sorry, none of us look as good as Richard Eric Jarvie, who cannot be here today. So you're going to have to deal without the eye candy of Richard Eric Jarvie. He's off. He had something he had to take care of. We miss him. We love him. He'll be back next episode, I'm sure. But instead, of course, we do have our other regular scoundrel. But he's pretty good looking too. He can suffice for the eye candy, I guess, today. Matty Gutter, how you doing, my friend?
I mean, like, do you guys need to like wash any clothes? Because I've got the washboard right here if you need it. What's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Not much. We got a couple of great episodes to talk about today, and some kind of cool news to talk about today. I've been chomping at the bit. I hate when we miss an episode. I always hate it because we feel like we're so far behind, and I got to talk about it now. But life does happen. So, that's me. I'm the big old queen. Yes, Sean. It's good to see you there, Sean.
What's up, Sean?
Jeff. Yeah, I mean, Jeff. You're being Jeff, and a quiz show. I wouldn't have you any other way, or would I? I don't know. Let's talk about that later. But without further ado, let's bring on our other guest, this very special guest. His first time on Scoundrels of the Force, for sure. I think he's been on PLD projects once or twice with some of my the tiers or whatever we did back in the day. I haven't done one of those in a while too. I should talk that and do one of those soon. But either if that's neither here nor there, let's move on. We got our good friend Jerry. What's going on, Jerry?
Oh, I'm offended if you don't consider me eye candy, okay? I'm just the bigger form of it, okay?
Hey, I get it, man. I'm the same way. We're both with a lot of us to love, and people like us need to be loved too. So I get it.
Your eye candy to me, Jerry. Your eye candy to me.
Always like that. Well, without further ado, let's just get right into this stuff. This works in Scoundrels of the Force. We basically take the first couple moments of the show. We talk about some news that has broken over the past week, or in this case, 2 weeks, and then we will get into the whole the old episode, last two episodes of Bad Batch. Some big episodes that have come on. White noise. Yeah, you know what? I should have asked about that, but I have my air conditioner on, and I'm not going to turn it off. So I'm sorry, there's a little bit of background noise. I hope you guys can deal with it a little bit. It's not too bad, I hope. It's very hot. It's very hot in here, so that's unfortunately happened. But so let's go without further ado. Let's go to the first bit of news that we always collect. Maddie always collects. Maddie's my boy, helping with the news bits. We always go to one of those cases. We go to Star Wars News Net. Friends, where I love those guys over there. They know what they're doing, and they collect only the best of the news out there. Like, I know if they're mentioning it, it's probably accurate because they're very good at like picking out the bullshit, and also they're very good at like telling you this is a rumor, this is legit, this is everything else. So I definitely say you go visit them for all your breaking news, and then come back to us and see what we have to say about it. As that goes. The first one we're going to talk about is the Visions. The show Visions is going to have its first look at the anime convention next month. Now, this is a show, of all the shows they announced on Disney Plus, this is one that kind of like went in my back burner a little bit. I didn't think much about it, to be honest with you. I thought it could be cool, but I almost got to say, with all the talk about Mandalorian, all the talk about the Bad Batch, with the coming up of the Book of Boba Fett and all that kind of thing, I kind of almost, not completely forgot about it, but I was like, oh yeah, this is coming out. So, I don't know, are you guys excited about this show at all? Do you guys want to see, are you excited about getting a first look at it? What's your thoughts there, Maddie?
I'm excited for the idea of it, because if I'm not mistaken, it's anime mixed with, I think they're using some stuff from the volume, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure exactly what they're saying. Like, what I've read, the official description was presenting all new creative takes to the galaxy far, far away, a series of animated short films celebrating Star Wars through the lens of the world's best anime creators. The anthology will bring 10 fantastic visions from several of the leading Japanese anime studios, offering a fresh and diverse cultural perspective to Star Wars. That sounds kind of cool to me. It sounds kind of Yeah,
different.
sounds sweet to me. I mean, there are some anime that I do enjoy. Obviously, I'm no anime expert, but there are some that I've enjoyed over the years. So it's a fresh take and it's new Star Wars. So what can go wrong?
Yeah, what do you think there, Jay?
Honestly, I've never watched any anime in my life, but the what you just said is I care less about it being animated and more about the different perspectives. Because that's the cool thing about Star Wars is when you can get those different ways people view things.
Absolutely.
And it sounds like we're getting something we've never seen before from at least these 10 people from a different part of the world that love Star Wars.
Yeah.
And as long as I can visually, agree with that, I'm good. I love new stories about Star Wars.
That right there is the concept art for Visions as one of the episodes, maybe.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of cool. I could definitely see that being very much up Maddie's alley as well. The samurai aspect of it, I believe. It looks.
Well, you know that Lucas loves the Kurosawa stuff, so
makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. So, yeah, yes, I know. John Vision is from Marvel. Thank you. So,
but I definitely wouldn't put this as one of my most excited. But I would put it as I am excited for it.
That's a great way to put it because it's one of those things I wasn't looking forward to. Because I know it's not going to really continue the story, which is what I love about Star Wars. I always want to see how it connects and how Bad Batch brings us to this section of the universe. And let's get in here, and it's always kind of a moving forward kind of thing. In this case, this is like a lot of places all over a lot of stories from all over the place. But that, in its own way, makes it exciting for different reasons. It's kind of like I can touch on this and then leave it. But how cool is the actual product itself going to be? Instead of worrying about the other entanglements, so to speak. So I'm interested to see. I hope it does well, because I'd love to see more of these if it does well. More ideas throughout it. Shared cultures even more, different influences and everything else. It's just going to make it even more worldwide than it is. So I love that idea myself. So I'll go with that. All right. What else do we got here? The next bit of news. Well, this is kind of confirmed now. We have, obviously, Kevin Feige is working on a Star Wars movie. We knew that, obviously. But the showrunner and writer for the Loki, Michael Waldron, is actually going to be the one who's writing the Feige Star Wars movie. That's about all we know of the Feige movie at this point. There's nothing else. We know that he's making one, and we know that Waldron is involved in it. And that makes me very excited because I don't know about you guys. I love Loki. I've been a big fan of Loki the whole time so far. I mean, I know it's only been a couple episodes, but I like what I see. And if this is the case, and Feige is that much respecting of this guy, and he is because we moved him right away to Doctor Strange 2. I know he moved him right in that. And so he kind of took him, we're going to go here, we're going to take you here, and now he's taking him along with him to Star Wars. Obviously, Feige likes what he's getting from Waldron and working well with him. So that means we get a synergistic movie. That's what Star Wars has needed. Because a lot of times recently, the Star Wars movies have been a lot of, you hear all these behind-the-scenes reports. Sometimes, Rian Johnson was fine, but JJ had some issues at one point. They had obviously the Lord and Taylor. Did I say Lord and Taylor?
Bill Lord and
yeah.
I just said Lord Taylor.
Been a long day, Paul.
It has been. But anyway, the solo stuff and everything else was kind of a shit show at some points. Overall, looks bad from the outside. This will help it look smoothly run. So I like that person doing it. Wow, Pat. Now you can stop right now. Pat, I love you. We're best friends now. We're the best friends, and they make it ever happen.
The one thing that I did catch from the interview. That I don't know if he's in the chat, but I know John Lastrina will love this. He said it's going to be centered a lot around family. One of the main themes of the movie is going to be about family.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we're going to get a Star Wars Fast Furious crossover or
Dom Toretto driving the Millennium
Diesel's
Falcon.
going to be in a Star Wars movie. I don't know.
Dom Toretto only flies for pink slips, so the new owner of the Millennium Falcon way back when it goes from Han to Rey, and now it's further from the future we'll have Dom Toretto be in charge of the Falcon. And no, I do not love Loki like Kelsey does. That's for damn sure. I don't think anyone loves Loki like Kelsey does. I don't think anyone loves anything like Kelsey loves Loki. So. That's okay.
I don't even think Tom Hiddleston loves Loki, and he's getting paid Mickey Mouse money to play Loki. And I think Kelsey loves him more than that.
I agree on that. So yeah, there's not much more to that news story. It's all it is Loki was working on the Loki writer there. So, but that's a good sign to me. That means it's still in development. I know the other one still in development is Taika Waititi mentioned really quickly in a brief interview that he hopes that his next project is his Star Wars movie, which would mean that's going to come out in the near-ish future. I'm hoping maybe they can get it done, get maybe 2023, maybe 2020, maybe.
Oh, that'd be so great.
Oh,
Just give Taika a whole trilogy.
amazing.
I love Taika Waititi, and his episodes of The Mandalorian, spot on, good stuff. So I hope to see more of that.
So the next movie that's supposed to come out is Wonder Woman's director,
Patty Jenkins. Yep.
When did that? Do we know when that's supposed to come out? 2022, I thought.
It hasn't gotten a release date yet, but I know she had concept. And I don't know if I don't even know if it started filming yet or not.
I'm gonna guess probably like with everything coming out. I mean, you got Mandalorian season 3 is going to be the end of 2022. They're not going to want to put out a movie around that time, so I'd say probably 2023.
Yeah, you know what? Looking at it, Screen Rant says that's due 2023. Actually, it's December 2023. That means that Taika Waititi can't come until 2024 at the earliest. So, but that's all right, I guess. As long as we have a movie in 2023, I'm happy to come good to go. But actually, I can't wait for that one either. I think it's going to be a great movie. I have a feeling that this is going to be a good X-wing driven movie. I loved the Rogue Squadron books when I was a kid. Or not a kid, I was younger. They were actually some of the best expanded universe stories we had. So because it was one of those things where it's the best of both worlds. Like it ties in to the overall Star Wars story without being tied up in it. If that makes sense. Like they were separate enough where things could happen and people could die and important things could happen to them without having to worry about ramifications throughout the major storyline part. But at the same time, you would have it like there was a whole book where Han Solo was one of the stars of it with Rogue Squadron. So it's one of those things it's the best of both worlds for it. So
I love the passion she seems to have for the project.
Yes,
that above anything else. I like some of her work. I don't like some of the other ones, but the passion she has for it, I'll take that over anything else. Honestly,
absolutely. I don't know if you're talking about Feige or Waititi either, Pat, but I get your point. It's okay.
I just want Top Gun in space for Rogue Squadrons. Just give me Top Gun in space. I'll be happy.
That's pretty much I think it's pretty much what we're going to get, I think. I have a feeling. What I'm interested in, actually, though, is the Force. Is there... Because, I know in the expanded universe, there was the character Corran Horn, who was in... He had a book called I, Jedi, which I loved, but he was a member of Rogue Squadron. So he was a Jedi. That yeah, right? He was a Jedi. He was also in Rogue Squadron. So that kind of that would be a cool angle to have, depending on where it takes place for. So, yes, I know.
Be someone like Maz Kanata, who has the Force, but isn't a Jedi or trained in any way.
Absolutely, that could be entirely it too. It all depends on kind of when it takes in the timeline. We're not really sure. I remember hearing that it actually took place post Rise of Skywalker potentially, but that was never really fully confirmed. I don't remember hearing a confirmation. It was just somebody said something somewhere, and it was kind of taken up and went with it. So I don't know how accurate that's going to be. I mean, that could change anyway too. You never know. So, all right. Well, a couple more quick reveals here. I'll put this picture up. We have the first look at Martian Rowe.
Oh, yeah.
Who the character is, if you don't know, and Jerry, you probably wouldn't, is he's one of the characters in the comic books. One of the books.
Jerry, you've read Light of the Jedi, right? You've read the first High Republic book.
Yeah.
You did read that one. Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you hadn't read some of the book. Okay.
I haven't really read much of the comic books, but for the High Republic, I've read all the books for the High Republic.
Okay. There's a link here. Let me get that. I'll show that on screen. We had the first time we get to see his face, because obviously he was a big part of that first book, the comic book, to see how he is there. And that's a cool look at the guy. I do think that's going to be a great villain. That's the kind of villain I wanted to have. In a way, it's dark enough. It's intimidating enough. It gives definitely weight to the character. I like the design. What do you guys think?
Blue skin. Looks like red eyes. I don't know, man. This could be going down. I don't know if he's like some kind of early version of the Chiss or something. He looks cool. Mm-hmm. I like the fur coat and everything. The one thing that does disturb me is the comments on the Reddit thread of, "Oh my god, he's hot. Oh my god, he's hot. Oh my god, daddy. Oh my god, zaddy." It's just like,
God, I hate that stuff. I'm not a big fan of that stuff.
I mean, he looks cool. That's why I wanted. I'm a big fan of the Nihil, as we know.
Yeah. Yes,
Big
you
fan
are.
of Marcion Rowe. And he looks cool. He looks like a badass. So I'm happy.
He looks like somebody I'd be threatened by.
Yes.
That's what you need with that villain.
Absolutely. That's exactly what you need. So, well, not much more than that about that, though. That's good. I can't wait for the next book comes out. Next book comes out soon, I think. The big,
Next week.
It's next week, right? Yeah.
The
So,
next week?
yeah.
Yeah,
I
June
was
29th.
July. Was it June? Yeah, either that or June. Yeah. So it's either that or the beginning of July. So, yeah, either way, though, it's next week. Great. I'm impressed. I'll have something to read again about that. I'll have to definitely have a show. We might have to have an extra Scoundrels of the Forest to talk about that when we finish the book. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
It's unlike, this is like a real one, too. And I shouldn't say real one, but this is like one of the adult novels, so one of the big ones, the big storylines in the
Am I the
universe.
only one that prefers the young adult novels?
I love
Maybe
the young
because
adult novels.
Claudia Gray writes them. Most
I
of them.
love them.
Oh, she's so good.
It's amazing.
So talented.
I absolutely love them, and I don't mean any like disrespect when I say the real ones or the new ones. I only mean by that is like Star Wars EU when they do projects like this though, most of the big events happen in these entries. Like it's the ones that this is like going to move. Like it's going to be the big happens in Light of the Jedi. The young adult versions then will have cool stories, introduce cool characters, can be very good stories overall. But the big events in an overall arcing series like this, are always going to take place in the big novels that come out. That's all I really mean by that. So it's going to be interesting to see. Got two more bits of news before we break down the episodes. One, Book of Boba Fett. There's actually a couple parts to this story. Tamir Morrison did have a comment during an interview, and he stated that Robert Rodriguez did come back and direct episodes. He said multiple episodes, so that's obviously he's back for more, and that made sense because he did a great job in The Mandalorian for Boba. The way he intimated it sounded like there's others. He said something about also bringing in other directors, so it does sound like maybe Favreau and Filoni aren't directing any of the Book of Boba Fett. Maybe. Because the art of the part of this interview seemed to intimate that this actually might be more than 4 episodes. It was kind of a long-standing, like when it was announced that there was going to be a 4-episode mini-series kind of thing, and then they move on to The Mandalorian. IMDb, which, all caution, for a non-released project, is not the greatest source of stuff, but IMDb does list 7 episodes. So, is there smoke? Is there fire? I don't know. But definitely threw me for a loop because I was just of the idea that it's 4 and done. What do you guys think? Do you want more? Do you care if it's more? Do you want it to be 4 and done? What do you think?
Especially, I think, and this is my theory because this has only just come out recently, right? I think they had the original plan to do 4. Do it just like a short little arc, and then the plan started to come together for this War of the Bounty Hunters stuff, and then they decided, hold on, let's get Robert back. We've got some more story ideas that we can fill in here, so let's get Robert back. As for Filoni and Favreau not directing it, I think that it's going to be that those two are going to be the only other ones, because my feeling about this Book of Boba Fett is it's going to be kind of Desperado in space.
Okay, that makes sense. You might as well have Robert Rodriguez there then, huh? At that point. All right. What about you, Jerry? Are you looking forward to Book of Boba Fett?
I'm really looking forward to Boba Fett. I didn't know it was supposed to only be 4 episodes. I don't keep up into the news as much as you guys do. I just take it as it comes and try to enjoy it more. But honestly, I don't like the idea of if it was originally planned 4 episodes, stretching it out to 7 because we want to add. Not a big fan of that, but if it was originally supposed to be 7 and it just got leaked and it was 4, then I'm fine either way. As long as the episodes are good and I enjoy them, I'm good. When's The Mandalorian supposed to come out? Because that one I could never figure out.
Well, it seems like now it's not going to happen until the end of 2023 is what I've heard now. Or not 23, I'm sorry. The end of 2022 now is what I'm hearing. Like, they're going to do Book of Boba Fett this Christmas time, December. I think we're gonna get Andor or Obi-Wan. Actually, Obi-Wan is filming right now. Obi-Wan is definitely filming. Andor has been filming. Mandalorian 3 hasn't started filming yet. There's only so much room in the old volume to.
They're filming Andor over here right now. There's,
Right.
I think there's 3 different sets. There's one in Dover, one in Scotland, and one in Essex that they're currently using on location at the minute. Obi-Wan is using the volume, so I imagine that's going to be tied up.
Hi, Ferris. And yeah, you know what? I agree. I have no reason to doubt it as well. It's true. I don't either. And Pat, this is actually a very, very, very solid point, and I fully agree with it. Story only needs to be as long. It's about the story itself. It could be 10, it could be 20 episodes, as long as the story dictates it. Absolutely. I don't know, but bringing that back because I'm not sure. Again, it's one of the things that I don't know if there ever was officially said it was going to be 4 episodes, or if that was one of the things that they kind of talked about, and they kind of it was one of the things that was just kind of accepted as that's the way it was supposed to be. We don't know where the original statement came from. I know it did come out for a while. That was like the common basis, but I don't know if anyone ever really confirmed that.
See, I never heard 4 episodes ever. Like the first time I ever heard it mentioned was when you were saying it.
Yeah.
So if it was more of the inside the Star Wars deep dive,
Which could be,
than the common knowledge.
Okay. And Ferris, yes, it is. Boba Fett has completed filming. That's true. That's accurate. That's actually part of what the interview was. He said he came on, he was done filming it, and so he's all excited, and they're getting ready to do more with it now. So, excellent. Maddie going to be the Mandalorian and choke out Gina Carano. Okay.
I mean, her boyfriend Kevin Ross is a pretty bad mother effer, and I have a lot of respect for her boyfriend Kevin Ross. So I'm probably gonna leave that one alone because I know that dude could kick my ass. But I'll give her a stern talking to.
There you go.
Stern finger pointing and talking to. Be like, hey, Missy, watch what you're saying on the internet.
All right, we got one last piece of news I want to bring up. I don't do this often because this is definitely in the realm of rumor. I don't know how accurate this site is. I've never really dealt with them before. The site was that hashtag show. I've never really heard much about them or anything else, but they had an exclusive that they dropped. No one else has picked up on it. Star Wars News Net has not picked up on it, so that tells me something maybe not right. But it was so exciting, I kind of at least want to talk about it briefly. But I just again want that disclaimer out there because I hate putting out bad rumors over it. This is as far from being confirmed as possible. But going off a more credible story that the Inquisitors would appear in Obi-Wan. There's actually, that story has been kind of talked about a little bit more. That's been talked about in circles that I would trust people with. That might be in Obi-Wan. This report says that this is setting up a live action Inquisitor show. So it would be getting together all the Inquisitors from from the Rebels era, anything before Rebels era, from the books, and getting them all together in one episode. And there was even so far as to say maybe there was a new sister, Seventh Sister or whatever it was, new sister character that was brought in, and then was having second thoughts about being an Inquisitor at some point. That would be how the story develops kind of from there. So we just think back and forth. And also, again, sprinkling on that rumor source, that Hayden Christensen is having a great time on Obi-Wan and really getting involved with everything, that he would actually be making appearances as Darth Vader in this series. He wouldn't be a big part of it, but he would make his appearances as Vader, which makes sense. If the Inquisitor's going to have a show, then you're going to report to Vader, and they'll have those kind of things. So, I don't know, man. I don't know, right?
That's pretty sweet. I'm not going to lie. I would watch the hell out of that. I don't know if Obi-Wan's the one to set it up, because that is an Obi-Wan Kenobi show. Everyone's going to care about is Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's it. No one's going to care about the Inquisitors. Yeah, they're going to show up, but I think they're just going to be a little, oh, look, it's those guys. All right, back to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
That's what I think. It does say, what it says here, the actual thing, it says, Dave Filoni, who has shepherded the Star Wars franchise for years, is now a huge proponent of the Inquisitors. That's true. That's true.
Oh, yeah.
He says he's making a big push for them for future projects. They'll be making an appearance in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, but this will set up their own Disney Plus live action series. It's early in development, but will be a continuation from what we see in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Interestingly, there will be appearances by Inquisitors that we see in both the Obi-Wan series, Jedi Fallen Order, as well as Star Wars Rebels. this is providing backstory to a lot of these characters, and like I said, it introduces a new sister. It's a way to also bring lesser known Jedi into canon, kind of thing in a way, and so it might be a lot of little things. It seems like they're just talking a whole lot of. They're getting a lot of detail. Kind of like I don't know if you know all of this, but I'm wondering if at least there's some, where there's smoke, there's fire, kind of thing. There's something going on in the background. I'm hoping so. I love this so much, and it's the only reason why I bring it up, even though it's not not on Star Wars News Net, because I'm trying to will it into existence. Because I would be all over that show.
And Ferris raises a good point in the chat that hearing Hayden having fun.
Yeah, me too, man. I gotta tell you, real quick, I'll break it out. One of the greatest Star Wars experiences I ever had was the only time I got to go to Celebration was in 2017. And that was when Hayden made his return to Celebration. Like the first time he came into the room, it was him and Ian McDermott came into a panel with George Lucas, and we all gave Hayden like a standing ovation. And you could tell like how much it meant to him, because obviously there was, for a long time it was like, Hayden did this, whatever. It was obviously, it was great to hear like and see those two together, and like how much fun he had, and how touched he was that we were all like getting his back or whatever. It was really cool. So. Really cool. And real quick, Ferris, I did take a nap. Not much of one, but I did take one. I was up at the Ferris till 8 a.m. this morning.
The only problem I have about the Inquisitors,
yep,
being in Obi-Wan, is I would be worried that they would. Obi-Wan should be able to defeat any Inquisitor that he comes across easily. And the only problem with that is if he defeats them easily, I would worry that people would be less excited for a show about them, similar to episode 9. What are they called? The Knights of Ren.
Nice Run.
Yeah, people lost interest, especially once they got defeated so easily.
Here's the way you do it. This is the way I do it. Obviously, Kathleen Kennedy has already teased the rematch of the century. Obviously, so we're gonna get Vader and Obi-Wan fighting again. Reportedly, that's what it sounds like. How could you have a rematch without having a fight, right? I think that Vader has sent the Inquisitors out to find Obi-Wan, but gave them orders, don't touch him. This one's mine. So you see the Inquisitors like do some badass shit, track Obi-Wan down, and then go, this is where he is, call him the big guy, kind of thing, potentially.
That I would be down with.
Because then you don't weaken them at all. You actually show them being badass, but you don't have to like nerf them, or you don't have to like have Obi-Wan defeat them or anything like that. So that makes sense to me.
And just to be, if you don't mind me asking, which Inquisitors do you think would be in Obi-Wan?
I don't know.
It's gotta have the Grand Inquisitor.
I would hope it'd be the Grand one. I would think he could, because that's where it takes place.
Would he already be dead though?
No, not in Rebels. He dies in Rebels. His first season in Rebels. Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
so Obi-Wan. So we actually could see the Grand Inquisitor, and maybe even I wonder if Isaacs will actually play it. Maybe that's a non-disclosed casting right there. I mean, Isaacs is the voice. I mean, he's a little older than I'd like, but with the makeup and the way he's the alien and stuff, he could. I think, yeah. I love Jason Isaacs. So, I would think we would have heard something by now, like that was the case. But that'd be fucking sweet. That'd be sweet.
I mean, if you're gonna send an Inquisitor after Obi-Wan Kenobi, you send the Granddaddy. Like, you don't send the pawns, you send the bishop.
Right. All right, well, let's move on. We've already about a half an hour in. We got a half an hour left. We're going to talk about these two great episodes. So let's buckle up and let's go through these as best we can. Obviously, we got two of the better episodes of the season so far, I found. I will say, I don't know, Jerry, you weren't here for this, but I know Jarvie and I had a couple times mentioned that, like, in the middle, Filoni's always been good for... What Filoni does, he has these, like, big bomb bad episodes in the beginning, and then it sometimes will be slower episodes before he kind of takes you back in. And we had that. We had a little bit of that, like where it kind of seemed like Bad Batch they're gonna do something. All right, this episode we're gonna go to a planet. We're gonna figure out something. We need something, and then we're gonna move on. And we're gonna go to this planet, figure out something. But it had kind of like almost like a stagnancy to it a little bit. I still love the episodes, but there definitely was like a little bit of stagnancy to it. These two definitely brought us back together a little bit. And I think it all turned around even more when they took their home base on Sid's bar there, giving them a home. Made it feel like we were expanding the story in a way. So I liked that aspect of it. But these two really took the story in a direction that I want to see where it's going to go next now. We got, obviously, the first one, Battle Scars. Right away, The funniest part to me was after the end of the episode prior to that with Rafe and Trace. I keep wanting to call Rafe and Trace the twins. I know they're not; they're just sisters. But I keep, for some reason, I can't get out of my head. I keep wanting to call them the twins. Maybe it's because of Star Wars thing. But the sisters, they were there, and they had made contact with somebody, and they told her about this, where these clones, where the Bad Batch was, and everything else. And I was like, oh, this is a big storyline. Who's it going to be? It's going to be, is it Ahsoka? Is it Bail Organa? I had put forth the idea of wanting to be Cassian Andor. I still think that would have been a cool idea. I was like loving that idea. I love that too. Right? It's perfect. But I honestly thought, I was like, okay, well, it's going to be a tease, and we'll get it. Maybe we'll have 5 or 6 episodes. We'll find out who it was. Nope. You find out in the first 5 minutes of the next episode that here we are. It's old friend Captain Rex. What do you guys think about the reveal? Were you okay with that, with Rex being the guy, or what were your thoughts? Jared, go ahead, Jerry.
Okay, I love Rex. Okay, I don't love that he was entered into the story so soon. Mm-hmm. I love what he did though, and we'll get to that later on. The reason he was there, I get all that. I wish they wouldn't have brought him in so soon, and that reveal would have lasted a little longer. To me, it was just way too soon.
Okay.
I do love the character. I do love what they did with the episode, but it didn't. It made the reveal less special. I mean, it made the setup less special for the last episode for me.
Okay, all right, I get that. How about you, Maddie?
I agree. It probably, I wouldn't say it was like too soon in terms of episode length, because like we're now halfway through, so it's like it's about time that the story starts to pick up. A little bit later in the episode, I would have thought would have been pretty good. Like maybe they get a transmission from someone on Braca, and they're like, okay, I guess we gotta go to Braca and find out what this is about, and it's Rex. I do think it was pretty cool, and Alex and Molly Damon also said this on their channel, how they did it kind of like the Strider Aragorn reveal in Fellowship of the Ring. He was like sitting there with the hood up, just in the corner, and then he just pulls the gun and just like, oh, that was sweet, that was awesome.
So I want to say real quick. First of all, has it been confirmed? This is me being silly. I think, has it been confirmed that Bad Batch is going to be multiple seasons, or has it just been this season so far? Has it been renewed for season 2? They haven't confirmed anything. So it depends on things. So that's the thing I don't know. It depends on where that story is going. It depends on what Filoni wants to do with the story. And Filoni, I trust, obviously. I think, Jerry, I almost agree with you, but I wonder if someone down the line, especially if we get multiple seasons, if, like, say, in season 2 that Rex is going to join the Bad Batch, like, as part of the team at some point, I could see that happening, especially... Like, we've already talked about this before. Like, one of the things we talked about, I think that I don't know if it's the whole story going to end or the season's going to end. I kind of feel like Crosshair is going to get killed by Hunter. That's my prediction. But we might lose somebody from the Bad Batch, and then Rex might be a good way to replace that person in the Bad Batch team, possibly. But you do it this way: you bring him into the series for a one-off, make him an important one-off, and you let him go away. And then later, it's like almost a tease of what's going to happen. And then later on, when you bring back, then he actually can join the team. So if it's done that way, it could work very well. I don't know if it's going to happen that way or not. As far as it being Rex that she was talking to, it makes sense story-wise to me. Obviously, they had the connection with Ahsoka. Ahsoka and Rex have the connection, so you might as well just put them all together at that point. But it also makes sense with regards to where they want to go with the inhibitor chip storyline. I mean, obviously Rex knows about it more than anybody else at this point, what's going on with that. So that all made sense to me as well. It's not as sexy as Cassian Andor, I think, would have been. That would have been a little bit different because having him in the animated series and leading up to the Andor TV series itself, I think that would have been a cool way to do it. But I'm okay overall with the introduction. But, okay, moving on. They go to Braca. And they go to Braca itself. We get the Scrapper ship. I know, though, this is from Jedi Fallen Order, correct? This is where this from Cal Kestis was there. I don't know much about Jedi Fallen Order. I didn't actually play the game or whatever. I remember I looked into it enough, though.
It's really good.
I'm not much of a gamer, unfortunately, anymore. But I like the idea that they did bring it in. They did bring Braca in. So that made me excited that they're connecting in the world. It seems like more and more we go on, they're starting to do what they initially said they were going to do, which is kind of world everything together. They kind of said that at the beginning they were going to have this whole big multimedia thing. It was all going to tie in and everything else, but then it kind of just didn't really. Kind of just the movies were the movies, the comics were the comics, books were the books, games were the games. This is a way they can do it and does it well. I love this planet, the setting. I love the Scrappers. They kind of, I don't know what they remind me of really, but they just, something about them is they're cool, low key enemies. Like you're not like intimidating or anything like that, but they're kind of different than stormtroopers in a way. So it makes it a nice little kind of sidebar.
They kind of remind me of Tusken Raiders.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like a Tusken Raider and a stormtrooper combined in a way because they have that like almost military like look to them, but like it's obvious that they're not like badass, like trained soldiers or anything like that. They're just that's what they do. They scrap. That's what they do. But I like them as an enemy in a way. It made a lot of sense to me to do that way. So that's cool. What did you guys think of the planet? Did you like this setting?
I love the planet in the game, and I thought it was just as beautifully done here. I love the appearance of the Dianoga.
Yes.
Flash compactor machine. Seeing the Dianoga there, I was like, okay, that's a pretty damn big Dianoga, but with all that scrap and trash and everything there, it's obviously going to be, it's big boy. So when you see Wrecker kind of, and I got to say, the comedic elements of this episode were absolutely brilliant. To think that Wrecker was going to be able to cross over that wire was pretty damn funny.
I love Wrecker more and more. I gotta tell you, he's my favorite. Kim, I was doing support Kim's favorite. So fuck you, Richard Eric Jarvie. You don't know what you're talking about.
Wait, Jarvie doesn't like Wrecker?
Jarvie's not a fan. He's not a fan of Wrecker. He says he doesn't like his humor too much. It's too much for
so
him.
Glad
sometimes.
Jarvie's not on here.
Jarvie, you're fired.
I love you, Jarvie.
We can all love what we love and hate what we hate. I get it. But I do think he's funny. He's actually, to me, he's the most emotional connected guy. He's the one I emotionally connect to the most. I mean, Tech is hard to connect with him emotionally because he's very emotional less in a way. Hunter, great character overall, but he's still kind of a blank slate in comparison to Wrecker at this point. Like you want to like him, but he's still kind of mysterious. I have a feeling Hunter's going to grow the more you learn. He's going to be a slow drip of by the end, Hunter's going to be like a really amazing. I think at the end, Hunter's going to be one of the better characters in the history of Star Wars. I think if it's done right, but they don't want to give it to us all right away. I just like what they're doing with him and what they could do with him. But Wrecker is definitely the one that touches the heartstrings. He has the relationship with Omega that the other ones don't have. He's this big, goofy teddy bear that wants to kill everybody else. But, or at least blow everybody else up.
Wrecker is, to me, the best character in the show right now. Hands
great.
down. I love him to death. Okay. I hate later on in this episode what happens. Mm-hmm. I hate everything that's going on about him. You're right. He gets me emotionally invested in him as a character. I do agree with you, though. Hunter has a higher ceiling.
Yes, that's what it is.
I don't think we're going to get any more out of Wrecker than we get right now.
What we see,
nothing wrong with that.
What we see is what we get with Wrecker, and that's absolutely fine. We get a little bit here and there, and so he'll tug our heartstrings occasion with Omega, I'm sure, at some point. But yeah, Hunter is the one that's going to eventually be the one that's going to be there, I think.
But I do want to say something. The planet is beautifully done.
Yeah.
Everything about it, the junk, the way it actually transitions from, if you play Fallen Order, there's a lot more going on, and it makes sense that there's less going on this planet right now. Because they just started to dismantle everything, so it wouldn't be built up now. And then I was really hoping for a Cal Kestis, little cameo, not him being part of anything, just like them knocking something over and one kid having red hair, a little kid having red hair being there, but it didn't happen. I loved the setting. It was a beautiful setting, great tie into other lore, like you were saying.
Nice.
The one thing about this will be my last point about the planet is there was the line of, they were saying, there's no republic left to fight for, and then if you look at the planet, it's essentially everything they fought for turned to scrap. All of the ships, everything just now trash. So that part really hit home to me as well.
Agreed. Totally agreed. Good. Let's talk about it now. This is the big moment happened in this episode. They're obviously there to take the surgical chips out, or the inhibitor chips out, and Rex is pretty adamant about it. Obviously, he has a reason to be compared to even what Bad Batch went through is nothing compared to what Rex went through. As far as that goes, you can see the haunting in his eyes. I faced it before, I want to face it again, kind of thing. And obviously, we have the culmination again, kind of a quick culmination. Filoni does that to me and surprises me sometimes. I honestly thought for a while that the Wrecker was going to be a slow burn. The Wrecker losing his will to the chip, because he kind of like started off. I mean, it was slow burn enough that he had like the headache for he hit his head in the episode a couple episodes ago. He hit his head against the seat, the harness or whatever, the harness, and he's been having headaches and it's gotten worse and worse. But I kind of thought it'd be drawn out a little bit more. I thought that might be towards the end of the season. But no, we have the culmination right here. He snaps finally and goes nuts. And that was one of the more emotional moments that I think we're going to get in the series. It was just that powerful. Him and like just choking him out, and like him and Omega like having that moment together where you're just scared shitless, and it was like you're like, no, Record, don't do it. You don't know what's going to happen. It was a very powerful moment and very well done. It's hearing him say, "Good soldiers follow orders," and he raises his blaster, and Omega's like begging him to stop. It was so terrifying. It was so terrifying. And so but then Rex, of course, has to save the day, and of course, that's a good thing.
What I love about this episode is that for the briefest moment, I thought Rex was going to kill him.
I did too,
because of what happened before. It makes no sense in the story. Anything else, you're gonna have Wrecker there, everything perfect, in a logical sense. But my mind, I got lost in the episode so much. I was like, Rex is gonna come up and he's gonna shoot him, and that's how they're gonna save Omega. He did, but he stunned him, and I was just so happy when he stunned him.
Yeah,
it was beautiful storytelling for me. Beautiful.
It was really good, really good. Yeah, so that was my favorite part of the episode. One of my favorite parts of the series so far as a whole. But it's well done. Now we're moving on. I move on from that in a way. But I kind of like that this was a part one of two episodes. We didn't even know it really. At the end of I'm so used to the Bad Batch having been like a one and done kind of episode. This actually happened to be a part where like they call for the Empire, we leave, and we don't know what's going to happen next. Oh my God! The scrappers are calling in the big guns and everything else. So we see Rex leaving, giving a nod. He disappears and leaves, and the scrapper tells the Empire to be notified. So that's where we set up. We go into our next episode. Go to the very next episode, which was another really cool episode that I wasn't expecting completely. I saw the title of it. Right away, you see the title because they always flash at the beginning. Reunion. Like, that could mean a whole lot of different things. That could mean a whole lot of different things. And who are we going to talk about? Who's reuniting with who? Is it Crosshair and the boys? Is it maybe someone at the end and reuniting with the fans? That could be what it was. Either way, Dave Filoni's pretty smart that way. But I love that it continued on this planet. Again, this planet was a great setting, and it made it for great action pieces. This is an action-based episode. It's almost all action. But we start, of course, back on Camino for the first time. And thank God, I was waiting for this to happen. Like, I was kind of waiting. Like a couple episodes in a row, I was kind of like, well, what the fuck's going on with Crosshair and Camino at this point? That's part of the story. I want to know more about that. That's part of the story I want most at this point. I'm kind of curious. You don't get a whole lot more, but enough. We got Crosshair obviously going to be leading this crew to get the Clone Force 99. But we also get that idea. We get the confirmation that it's the Kaminoans who have hired Fennec Shah to track down Omega, which was pretty straightforward. We all kind of thought that, I think. I don't think anybody was really doubting that. It's funny because they treat it like it's this big, they almost treated it like it was a surprise. I was like, this is a reveal, but like I was kind of like, yeah, who else would it have been? I mean, I guess it could have been the Empire, but that just didn't really make much sense to me. So, but instead we also hear that they have to, so basically call the big guns for this. That's what basically they say. I got to tap that resource pretty much. At that point, my mind already starts thinking, oh boy. Is this going to be someone we know? Is it going to be someone we know? I think it is. So right there is the first time that a certain individual we'll talk about came into mind. And I was like, are they going to go there? Are they going to go there? I had a couple other ones go through my mind. I know my own sense of trying to will things into existence. I was kind of hoping Hondo got involved somehow. They were calling Hondo in somehow. I don't know why, because he's not a bounty hunter. I know he's like a pirate, but like he's, tangentially connected to people. Maybe he would be involved with. I just wanted a Hondo. But
who doesn't want more Hondo?
Exactly. He fits.
Yeah. He fits everywhere. Literally everywhere he fits.
You can always find a place for him in any situation. So that did go through my mind. But a couple other ones, I thought maybe we're going to see Boba Fett, but I know he's too young at this point to really be taken too seriously. But yeah, so what do you guys think when you heard this? Were you excited about it? Did it go through your mind at all? Or did you try not to think about it? You just wanted to let it unfold?
I thought it was going to be Fennec. I just
Okay.
thought it was going to be Fennec, and they were going to send Fennec to Braca. I didn't think anything of it. I was like, okay, Fennec's going to show up. Might have a bit of a sniper on sniper fight with Crosshair, which would have been pretty sweet. I'm sure that'll come up at some point. But that's all I really thought, was it was just going to be Fennec.
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a teenage Boba. I thought this was going to be the reveal of the next stage of Boba Fett's character. Now, it doesn't make any sense, but that's where my mind went. Was like, we saw Kid Boba in Clone Wars. We've seen middle-aged Boba, older Boba. I thought this is where we're going to get teenage Boba becoming that best bounty hunter in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Who came never even crossed my mind. Didn't even come close to crossing my mind.
All right.
And then I forgot about the bounty hunter as we went on with the episode. Like it for 30 seconds to a minute, I thought about it, and then the episode just took me away, and I completely forgot the things if something else would happen.
I don't blame you, because it's an action-packed episode after that. The whole thing went down. I love the explosion lesson that Wrecker's trying to teach Omega. It was very Wrecker, very very Omega as well. I love what Dave Filoni's been doing with both of them. Like, he's been really developing the relationship by doing little things like that. And Omega's getting. And it's not. First of all, it's good for the story and it's good for the characters. It's good for the story and good for character development. Obviously, good to have to develop the relationship. At the same time, Omega's learning. Omega's learning more. She's doing well with the bow now. She's getting these lessons in explosions. She's actually learned to become a competent member of the crew. And she is a clone, so she has. I mean, I feel like we know that there's something going on with her being a clone. Obviously, it's a female, so there's some kind of difference in the cloning technique somewhere. I don't know exactly what those differences are, but I gotta believe some of the genetic material is still part of Jango Fett. So she's got that innate ability to be a great member of the squad, and she's learning. And that, so you get, instead of just having the idea where, oh, she's cloned and she's gonna do everything great. No, we're seeing her learn exactly what she needs to learn. So by the end of it, when she is the person she's going to become, we watch it happen.
Ray's mother, right? That's always the theory.
That's what it is.
She's going to end up being Ray's mother.
There you go. That's the theory. That'd be good. Actually, I'd be okay with that.
I wouldn't.
No,
That's a weird reveal.
I will say this episode, I started out absolutely loving Crosshair. This episode made me hate Crosshair.
Ooh, talk to me, man.
Because there's the bit when, obviously, so skipping forward a little bit, the Empire show up. They're trying to get the data from the bridge of the ship so they can sell it on. Empire show up. Tech is trying to calculate all their movements and everything, but Crosshair, he knows them. He knows exactly what they're going to do, so he's one step ahead of them, while they think they're one step ahead of him. So what does he go and do? He has this small child, this innocent child, that is pleading with him. It's like, look, this is not your fault. It's the inhibitor chip. Like, this isn't you. Remember what I told you. So what does Crosshair go and do? It says, aim at the kid.
Yes! Yes! I loved it. I hated it, but I loved it.
It was such a villain moment.
Yep.
Did work perfectly. I hated him. I couldn't stand him.
We've had villains in Star Wars, but I don't think we've ever had one this, like, full-on cruel.
Yeah.
Because there was the refugees. He was just like, nah, burn them. Kill them. I don't care. Get rid of them. And now he's like, nah, shoot the kid. Don't point your guns at them. Shoot the kid.
Right. I think they gotta make them. They gotta double down, because eventually, like I said, it's gonna come to a point where I think Hunter's gonna have to kill him, and so they want to make him as dastardly as possible, so that when Hunter does, you root for Hunter to take him out eventually. I think that's the idea. You root for him to go. I think some people, for a while, especially at the beginning, want to see this redemption. They want to see Crosshair come back, and they want to see the team formed up again. But I think that's not going to happen. I think the audience is going to be like the Bad Batch. They're going to be like, they want to get back with them. Right now, right up to this episode, I think they still wanted to try to see if they can get Crosshair back. And I think we want to see if we can get Crosshair back to a degree. But now it's like, yeah, I know we're going to take that step and show you this guy ain't coming back. this guy ain't coming back. It's too late. He's done. And we're gonna have to take care of him. And I think that's gonna happen. I think it's gonna have to happen. I loved the engine sequence. That was a great sequence there. Like they're trying to escape the engine, and Crosshair, being who he is, turn on the fucking engines. Shit.
when they set that up, I was like, they're not. Like because the soldier was on the bridge, I was like, what the fuck is he playing? Because he had him pinned down.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, okay, he's just gonna wait for them to make a move. They've got nowhere else to go. He's just gonna wait for them to come out and shoot him. Then he was like, turn on the engines. I was like, oh, you really are a dick.
Right, exactly. He's a dick and a half.
I loved it when it came back to bite him too.
Yes.
I love that moment.
It was a great moment. He came back like, oh, sweet. And he got fucked up. That's what we were actually mentioning that. John Getz was mentioning that earlier about him becoming the Two-Face of the Star Wars universe pretty much because he got fucked up. That's kind of reminiscent of Anakin to a degree, like the idea. Like, I kind of wonder if that was like completely meant to to show that. Is this like, this is a fallen person who's going to become a bad guy? Is that what they're trying to show us? Like, is it, I don't know. But it definitely reminded me of Anakin. I don't know. Does that make sense to you guys?
Yeah, because they even had the breathing apparatus that
Right?
sounded like Anakin's breathing apparatus.
Right.
Like when I thought of it, for a split second, I was looking for Vader because
Right.
it's the same thing.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So I think Crosshair's a baddie, and that's it.
One thing that did also cross my mind, and this is a little bit of trivia for you guys. What were the first stormtroopers that were cybernetically enhanced? It was the Death Troopers.
The Death Troopers, right? Yeah.
So I'm going to reel back to my theory a few weeks ago. I think Crosshair's the first.
I gotta be honest, Matt. When you asked me the question, I started thinking about that, man. I just remembered your theory. I'm like, I'm not. You're winning me over. You are winning me over with that potentially. Huh.
I think you're stretching it a little bit there. I think it's a possibility, though. I think
I am more on board with it now than I was when you first proposed it. Let's put it that way.
I agree. If you would have said that, I didn't hear you say that. I'm sorry. But if you would have said that, I was like, okay, you're really stretching it here.
Right.
Now,
It's like,
you're not stretching it as much.
right. It's less of a stretch. Still a stretch, but not that much of a stretch. I get it. I agree.
And I actually would love it because it would tie in again to other parts of the universe.
Right. Exactly. That's the cool thing to me. All right, you know what? We're here. Let's talk about it now. This is the big reveal moment. Obviously, we realize that this is coming up. We try to talk to the troopers back at the ship. No one's answering them, and we're like, you kind of get that pan, and all you see is troopers in the ground, like fucked up, pretty much. And like, you're like, what the hell's happening? And like, as soon as I started seeing the troopers that were fucked up, I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna be whoever it is. This guy's a badass. This guy's gonna fuck this whole team up. And then sure enough, we get it. It's Cad fucking Bane.
He's back.
I am so happy. When was the last time we saw Cad Bane? What, like 6 years ago?
Probably, yeah, the end of the Clone Wars. And I mean, wasn't even. I don't even think he was in season 7 at all.
No, he wasn't in season 7. I don't think he was in season 6.
He might not have been in season 6 either.
I think season 5 was the last time we actually see him.
Yeah, and that's towards the end. But yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. There was the unfinished arc that they had done. They showed at Celebration. It was this thing where Boba Fett shot Cad Bane, almost like Cad Bane was dead, or Boba Fett. That's how Boba Fett got the dent in his helmet. But it was never fully. That arc was never fully finished. I got to see the unfinished arc at Celebration, which was kind of cool to see. But I guess in a way, you can't assume. For a long time, I assumed like if Dave Filoni had a hand in it and had done the arc, then that's the story he was going to stick to. Even if he didn't film it, he'd be kind of like, well, that's what I wrote, so that's what happened. You know what I mean? But he's proving more and more that he's willing to say, nah, I'm going to change that story. I'm going to change that. I guess part of that is because when he was writing Clone Wars, that's all he was doing. Nowadays, he's got this idea of like a even bigger universe with different projects, which means more places he can actually put his stamp on and put his characters and well-loved characters. We can introduce them in different ways and new ways. So
let's be honest, he probably hung out with Kevin Feige for a little bit.
Maybe.
And then got this great idea.
That could be it. Like, ooh.
And honestly, that arc could still happen.
It could. It could still happen. That's absolutely true. You never know. That
But
could be the
this
future.
right here, I saw that the shot when Boba Fett and Cad Bane actually shoot each other.
Mm-hmm.
This reminded me of that.
100%. I was actually going to bring it up.
It's the same thing, other than the
100%.
end result.
100%.
Yeah.
I thought the same way. And let me tell you about that. I am so stoked that I was trying to say stoked and psyched at the same time. I almost came out as stoked.
Stoked. I like it.
I like it. It's a new word. They let Cad Bane win because Hunter is like the lead of the show, and you don't want to like nerf your lead because sometimes I think that was one of the few I want to say drawbacks that Mandalorian had at times was that every once in a while it felt like the Mandalorian got his ass kicked too easily a few times here and there. I kind of felt that way throughout the episodes. Not a big deal. Not like didn't make me like the episodes any less. But I kind of like in my back of my mind, you should be a little tougher. You should whatever. But in this case, it's okay to happen every once in a while. And in this case, it helps establish how badass Cad Bane really is. You don't want to weaken him. You want him to be the threat he is, and he should be able to take care of Hunter. This is a guy who's gone up like face to face with Anakin Skywalker and lived. He's gone face to face with Ahsoka and lived. Like Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's lived against all his foes and fought them, never scared of them no matter what's going on. He's always all in on it. So Hunter, as an enhanced clone, sure, it's maybe a little bit of a challenge, but the Cad Bane, it's like every Tuesday in the park, you know, and the kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I take care of these guys all the time. So to have him like pretty much handle Hunter, I liked that. I thought that was a good idea. And he gets away. That's what I love about it. He gets what he wants, takes her away, and they fly off. And Cad Bane has Omega.
Lady. Dude, the music as well.
Yes.
When I saw Cad, there's very few moments in Star Wars that have like given me chills, like made me think, oh god, oh no, we're in trouble here. But I was watching it with my best friend Ryan. Shout out to Ryan. I grabbed his wrist. I was like, shit is about to go down. And it was like you said, it was Hunter is the top dog of the Bad Batch, and it's like, all right, you might be tough, you might be the best of these clones, but you still ain't shit. And this guy comes walking in, and it was just like the tap of the gun belt, the music behind it was just so like, it was just so Sergio Leone Western vibe. I was like, oh, this is it.
I love the build up because honestly, when we first get into the scene, before one of the shots, I thought it was just the Bad Batch had beaten other clones. They were in the ship, and then all of a sudden you see the way Hunter and Omega react to the clones being down, and that's when I realized, oh crap, something's going on. Yep. And it brought me back to I was thinking it was Boba Fett, and I was like, okay, so what's going to happen? And then I'm like, okay, there's no way Hunter loses. They're not going to just give up Omega.
Right.
And when he beat him, I was like, oh, crap. And then you get that scene where it's a first-person visual afterwards that is just, it makes you feel scared.
Yeah, Hunter being dragged into the ship and everything else, injured, they got shot in the chest and everything else. That was a great choice that they made, and that was really brought you right into the story, even to the heart of it. Loved it so much, so perfect, such a great shot.
I love that. The one thing I do want to say is I like that Cad Bane won. Yes. I do want Hunter. I think I talked to either Paul or Matt, one of the two. I do want Hunter to beat him later.
Yeah,
maybe
I'm okay with that.
Maybe season 2. I want him to get that win back.
I
show
agree.
His growth.
I think that'll work.
I do like that Cad Bane won this round.
That's a good call right there. Reminded me of Republic Commando. I get that. That should make sense. Real quick, Star Drew, thanks for being in the chat. Always a pleasure to see you there. If you had to pick prime age Han Solo, Cad Bane, or Boba, who would be the quickest gun?
Cad
Bane.
Prime age Solo, still too slow.
I don't know, man. Solo was good, but
what have you seen though that Solo has been? I mean, he beat in Solo. He beat what's his name?
Beckett.
Yeah, Beckett. Who else have you seen him beat in a gunfight?
In the films and shows, nothing. I mean, in the books, he was good at doing fast draw in the books at one point. And there's a short story of him and Boba Fett. Actually, and Han outdrew Boba Fett, I believe. I want to say it's been a long time since I read it, so I don't remember exactly how it was. And it's not really canon anymore either, so it doesn't really matter, I guess. No, you're right. I'll go with Cad Bane as well. I just want to sit and think about it for a little bit. I was kind of like, I want to make sure a deep dive because I love me some Solo. Back to back, get more. I love Han. Like my favorite character when I was growing up for a long time when I was my teens or whatever. So I would always say he's the best pilot. And people will argue that like Hera's the better pilot and everything else. I'm kind of like
I'm one that argues that. I think we've seen her do more impressive feats with a bigger variety of ships.
Potentially, so, yeah. But I guess it's like in a way again it's like in the films in the TV series. Yeah, I get that. But in the books, also that Han was like made out to be such a more of a pilot than even like possibly.
Here's the one that always gets me: is the first book we meet Hera, Kanan, who is a Force user, who is a good pilot in and of himself. When he needs his best friend saved, he knows she's so much better than him.
Oh yeah,
he says, "I trust you to do this because I've seen you fly." Yep. To me, that shows.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that Hera's. I'm not arguing that. I'm not going to ever argue that
not an argument
Hera's a bad play. I'm not going to ever say that Hera's awesome. I just have a whole thing of like I just have a hard time like this. Han Solo was always the best growing up. So like anybody says like that or Poe was better than them and everything else stuff. I was like, well, I don't know. But real quick, yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's a good point. The CGI head dodge.
That's true. And if I may, before we start to wrap this up. I did have a thought about the Boba and Cad Bane sequence.
Okay.
I think this was a tip of the hat to that.
I agree.
But I don't think we're going to see it in this show. I think we're going to see it in Book of Boba Fett. Because they've reestablished Cad Bane. So they've reestablished him as a character and as a legitimate threat. I don't think they're just gonna have it for a potential one-season show and then take him away. It might be a hope on a prayer, but I think Cad Bane is gonna show up in Book of Boba Fett and we're gonna have that moment.
I completely would love that, and I think that's a great theory. I think it's a great theory.
Could you imagine seeing Cad Bane in live action? That would be so cool.
Matthew McConaughey as Cad Bane.
Matthew McConaughey would be a good Cad Bane. That's very true. He would definitely do a good job with that. As long as he got Hondo in live action too, that's all I care about. Let's get them both. Let's get them
Antonio Banderas.
Perfect. Let's do it. Move it. Stand me up. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully, we're gonna try to be more present. Hopefully, we'll go every week on the show at this point. At some point, we'll go from bi-weekly back to weekly. Hopefully, that's next week. But I guess we'll find out. Next Monday, we'll try to be here at the same time, 3:30-ish. Jerry, where can the folks find you?
You can find me on Twitter somewhere. I'm not sure. Don't really follow me on Twitter. It's not really worth. All I do is post about the Schmodown and St. Louis Cardinals, so it's not really worth it. But watching Star Wars all the time. That's where you can find me.
Fair enough. How about you, Matty?
So you guys can find me on Twitter at Matty Gunner, Instagram Matty_Gunner, and twitch.tv/Matty Gunner TV. Wednesdays and Sundays for the ONU MMA show. We will not be doing a show on Wednesday this week. We'll be doing one tomorrow because our good friend Andre Feely is fighting for the UFC this weekend. So we will be previewing this week's card for that. And and you can also find me here. And also go to the TeePublic. POD Projects, TeePublic, pick yourself up one of these amazing Scoundrels of the Force t-shirts. I have one. You should have one too.
Absolutely. Summertime. Get your t-shirts now, people. They're fresh. They're very comfortable. I wear them all the time. They're very comfortable. You can find me, obviously, PLD Projects. You can find me here every other week, hopefully every week on Scoundrels of the Force. I hopefully will eventually find time to develop more content on this channel. I would like to. I still have ideas rolling around my head. I want to do the Queen Show where I talk about every song in their catalog. I eventually will talk about Ed Harris somewhere, I'm sure. But you can also find me on Action Industries. I produce for Andrew Guy and Ben Bateman, so the weekend programming on Action Industries YouTube channel. You can find me at the FCL. We talked about the movie Trivia Schmodown briefly. The FCL is the NXT to the Schmodown's WWE. We got our next batch of matches scheduled for this Tuesday on the Twitch channel, 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. Our match this week, we have two newcomers, the Flying Cow versus Mystical Brennan Marr. And then, of course, we have a couple of holdovers, a couple of guys who've been destined to fight since the beginning of the FCL began. Sinister James Shimo versus David the Survivor Jindoyan. So those should be some good matches there. And yeah, that's about it. I'm also on Call to Action occasionally too. We do after show for Schmodown, so I do that sometimes too. But yeah, that's it. And at Polyspore, Denizio on Twitter. All right, guys, take care. Thanks for popping in. Hopefully you enjoyed your time, and I know we did. And so I guess we'll see you next time. May the force be with you guys. Always.